everybody and welcome back to the channel, and if you're here for the very first time, it's lovely to meet you. I'm Jane and my husband Mike is behind the camera. We're British, early retirees, we've got no debt, we've paid off the mortgage and we live a thrifty, frugal and money-saving life here in Brittany in northwest France. And every Sunday we share with you an aspect of our private life. And this Sunday I'm going to share with you how I made a quilt in under a week from start to finish. And I've also got in here a charity shop haul as well, because the backing for the quilting that I do, I use charity shop fabric. You'll see that I've used some fabric in the video today that I got from AliExpress a few weeks ago. It didn't cost me anything. And it's one of the reasons that I do sponsored videos, especially if I get sent stuff that can be then used to raise money for charity. So I'm in the middle of making a cushion cover here today, but you're going to see me making the quilt. So we like to support a local charity called Les Puces, and it's been going for 10 years. It was set up by some local British people. It's now very much an Anglo-French charity of people who work together to raise money for animals in need. They have a charity shop in a nearby village called Puces. I go there every Friday. There's a little room that we use as a craft group. And we, as members of the craft group, not only do we pay each week to use the room and go to the craft group, the money goes straight to the charity, we make things to sell at the spring fair, sometimes an autumn fair, and the Christmas fair. And it raises quite a considerable amount of money. I make quilts that are raffled off. And I've also made another quilt, a small one, for the stall at the fair. So our craft group has a stall at the fair as well. And we sell lots of handmade items. It raises hundreds of euros. And I've made another quilt for them to go on there. So I've got one quilt to go on the big grand raffle. That's being pushed on their Facebook group and it's in their shop window. And I've made a smaller one, and it's not cost me really anything to make it, because a while ago I did a product review for AliExpress, and I've used the fabric that I've got from AliExpress. One of my quilting friends gave me some fabric as well, and also the backing I got from a local charity shop. So in the video today, you're going to see me making the quilt from beginning to end, and you're going to see the quilt at the end of the video. You're also going to see a charity shop haul. I spent 20 euros at another charity shop buying vintage bedding, and I use the vintage bedding. I'll show you the back of this, and that goes on the back of the quilts, because then I don't have to sew any pieces of fabric together. I've just got one nice big piece of fabric. So I hope you enjoy me making the quilt and the little charity shop haul. Starting point of my quilt in a weekend. I already had these strips of fabric. They were sent to me by AliExpress to review. I thought they were fun, and I'm going to use these to make the quilt. So they were already in 2.5 inch strips, and then I have cut them into 6.5 inch strips, and then I have divided them up into reds, lighter blues, darker blues, all the shades of black, and everything from light lilac right up to dark purple, and then the pinks. And what I have done with these is sewn them into strips of 3. So it's going to be a kind of a rails quilt, and I'm going to sash this with black fabric. And before I get going on anything else today, I'm going to nip up to my friend's house about 30 minutes away, and she's got some black fabric to donate to me to use in this quilt that's going to go to an animal charity and raise some money for much needed money for some animals in need. I'm going to sash my blocks, so I needed some black or black and white fabrics to do this. I'm also going to put some borders on this as well. It's very much a black and dark theme in this quilt today. So look at these lovely fabrics. I've just popped up to my friend's house. She lives about 15 minutes away, so a 30-minute round trip, and she pulled all these out for me and let me choose them. How sweet of her. And these are all going to go into the quilt. Isn't that lovely? All of these black fabrics. And I finished all of the blocks. I've got 90 blocks altogether, so it's going to be 9 blocks by 10 blocks, so 9 across, 10 down, and I'm just about to press some fabric to make some sashing, and I'm going to do the sashing and all the borders in different types of black. It's not going to be a very big quilt, it's going to be a throw quilt. As I said, I want to get this finished this weekend. So what I have cut next is 1.5 inch strips, and I'm going to use that as sashing to go around each of the blocks. I'm going to have a very busy day, and I think I ought to rename this video a quilt in a week, not a quilt in a day, because this is taking me longer because I'm being very careful about it. So I'm going to have 9 blocks across and 10 blocks down. And the first 8 blocks of each row, and I'll talk about this first of all, I have one going in one direction and one going in the other direction. And what I do is I'll border 2 sides. And this is the 9th block, so I have bordered 3 sides. And I've used a 1.5 inch strip, and I've sewn it on with a 1/4 inch seam. And I'm going to keep going now until I've made as many rows as I can, or I get fed up. It's Monday morning. I certainly didn't manage to do this in a weekend. Not that I just didn't have the time, it's just I couldn't motivate myself to stay on task. But I've been really motivated today, so I've used it. And I have finished all the blocks. All I do now is sew the rows together, and by the end of the day, or whenever I motivated myself to do this, it'll be finished. So let's go through this. I'm going from pinks to lilacs to purples, from pale blues to dark blues to reds. I've got the reds, and then I come down into the reds, into the blacks, into the dark blues, which I've got quite a few of, and then finally into the pale blues. I ran out of fabric for the border, so you can see I've got some different fabric in there as well. And I have to do a 1.5 inch strip right along the bottom of this, which is going to be cobbled together of scraps. I hopefully have enough scraps to make it all the way across. And then I will stick a border on. So the next thing you'll see is the quilt row by row. So there is row 1 and 2. And you can see, as I said, we're going from pinks to lilacs to purples. Let's get the next couple of rows on. I'm now exactly halfway. And I did have to unstitch and re-sew the last row, you can see there, because I goofed and had some blocks in the wrong order. So I kind of lost about half an hour of the day there, but I'm halfway. I'm determined to get the rest of it all sewn together today. So there is the finished quilt top. You can see I have my red layers on, and I went from red to blacks to dark blues to blues. And I back my quilts with a sheet, and this is a quilt I'm making for a charity. And this quilt on the back here, I think I can get something better. And I know it's no spend October, but I buy all my backs as vintage sheets, and I'm going to take myself to a charity shop and see if I can find something a bit more suitable. Maybe something red, darker, something darker. If not, I will find something to go on the back of this. Well, as I said, I'd run out of sheets that I use for backing. So we popped to a charity shop called Chiffonniers Morlaix, Chests of Joy, super charity shop. Other charity shops are available in the nearby town of Morlaix. And I spent €20. I got quite a lot. And let's show you what I've got. All of these are flat sheets. This one's kind of a blue-grey cotton. I have checked, I can't see any holes in it. And that's a big double-size sheet. That'll be perfect on the back of any quilt, really. Grey is very neutral. And then I've got a single-size sheet that actually I think will almost fit onto a queen-size quilt. And oh, very 90s, very 90s that is, isn't it? Stripes and squares. That's cool. Again, all cotton. Then this one is the size of a single bed. And it's got little hearts and little doggies on it. That'll make a great quilt back. I mean, it's, again, 100% cotton. No holes in it. The ladies at the charity shop are really good. If it's got holes in it, they charge you less. So this one, for example, she said was very old. So she didn't charge me 50 cents for that. In fact, she didn't charge me for that one at all. She said, oh, no, not Brittany. So that one's lovely. And the big flowers on it. But that's really handy. And I completely unpick all the seams. So I've got some more. That's the kind of thing that make a really good 5-inch border, 5.5-inch border. Then I've got another. They call this pillowcase that goes right across the bed with the great pillows in it, a traversin. And again, this one's quite green and blue. There's tons of fabric in there. So the small pillowcases are 50 cents. The big pillowcases are €1. Not much at all. This one is like new. The dogs sleep on pillows and they've got our old pillows for their dog beds. So I bought this one just as a pillow cover to go on one of the dogs' beds. 50 cents, you can't go wrong. This one again is another traversin. This is grey. I've never got enough grey. Grey with paisley on it. Super, bit of vintagey look. What else have we got here? I had a, oh, I don't think she saw that. That one's got a traversin in it as well. In England, we call that a bolster pillow. And that is a single, I think that's a double. I don't know, let's have a look. No, single bed. Single bed, Mike?
Single, yeah,
single
that's
bed.
Single.
But that is a great quilt backing. You come and see the pattern on that, Mike. Sort of flowers and spots go on the back of any quilt. I hope this is going to be big enough for the quilt I'm currently making. Well, I hope so, Mike. Oh, hello. I think this is a big one. Yes, that will do. Does it say the size on it? 100% cotton, fabriqué en France. No. That'll do. Yes.
That's big.
That's perfect. It's got a bit of a fade mark in it, but it doesn't matter.
That's character.
Yes. It doesn't matter. It's going on the back. Oh. All good. And one more. I like this one. I thought it was very 1980s. And this one's got a pillowcase to go with it as well. Tons of fabric. In fact, that might go really well on the back of the black quilt I've just made. Dark colours in it, because it's got some black in it. I think that's the one I'm going to use. And I've also got another sheet here. Super. Oh, Hello. What have I bought? I think I bought a single sheets. Oh no.
It's bonus.
It's bonus. No, it is just the one.
Ah, okay.
So it's one big single sheet. Really, it is with France, but the French are prepared to pay a lot of money for bedding, and it's a really lovely, thick, heavyweight cottons. But these are what I buy for my quilt backing, so I don't have to sew a piece together. And for that lot today, all the money's gone to a local charity, €20. The quilt top is made. As you saw yesterday, I went to the charity shop and did a haul of the stuff I've made. I bought, I beg your pardon, and there it is up on the frame. I really love the effect of this. It's like little windows of bright colours. There it is up on the frame. So if you're here for the very first time, you may not know I'm a quilter, but I have a quilting machine. It is a Handy Quilter Moxie. You can look that up. You can look at it on YouTube. You're on YouTube anyway, to see how it works and what it does. It's a life changer for me. So there it is in close up. And you can see I had the pre-cut 2.5-inch strips. I cut that into 6.5-inch strips. I sewed them together, and I've graded it from sort of pink to lilacs to purples to reds and blacks. And I am going to get that quilted. I can try and show you the stitches on here. I don't think that will pick it out. You can see I'm very lightly stippling it, so I can do it quite quickly and have this off the frame in an hour. It is quilted. I have one more stage to go. I'm going to cut some black strips from black fabric, obviously, into 2.5-inch strips, and I will iron it and press it and make the binding and get the binding sewn on. But that took under an hour to quilt it. So you can see if you use pre-cuts as I did, and you cut them into 6.5-inch strips, get them into blocks of 3 and arrange them, it really is a quilt that you could make in a weekend. So now I'm going to make the binding. To make the binding, what I did is I got some, instead of black and white, this is white and black, and I've cut it into 2.5-inch strips. And I will fold it over and press it. I will sew it all into one big strip. I will then fold it over. I've auditioned it against this. I think, oh, that looks really good. And what we do is once it's folded over, we quilters sew down this line, and I'll show you that when I've done it. I do like a polka dot. I really do. So here is my binding. It's a 2.5-inch strip. I've sewn them all together. I've folded it in half, wrong side to wrong side. I've then got it on the edge of my quilt, and using my walking foot, I sew down the edge of this, and I'll show you this when it is all on the quilt. So you can see here I have sewn all of the border on, all the way around, and then I fold it over, clip it in place. I use clips instead of pins, and then I will hand sew this so you won't see the stitches. I will hide them into the quilt. And it takes me a couple of hours to sew down the binding, but it's a very enjoyable thing to do by hand. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hitting the thumbs up button. Thank you for all of your lovely comments. I love to hear from you. Tell me if you're a quilter. What are you quilting at the moment? And here comes the reveal. And here it is. So it's just a small quilt. It is a throw quilt. It will be on our fundraising stall. It will be a silent auction. So we'll leave pens and paper And we will leave envelopes, and all people will have to do is put their bid in an envelope. We hope to raise somewhere between 50 or 100 euros. And I know you might be thinking that's not very much. We live in an area where people don't have very much money at all. And don't forget, the fabric I got from AliExpress and from friends and a charity shop. So there it is. I really hope that you enjoy it. Have you got that all in shot, Mum?
That's all in shot, my darling. It's magnificent.
Thank you very, very much.
You can put it down now and say goodbye.
There we are. So I really enjoyed making that. It was a very quick quilt to make. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.